Good morning, everyone, and welcome to First Take. Carrie Champion here with Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith. It is Wednesday, gentlemen, as we get our computers and everything together. How are you? Good to see you.
Good morning.
Big time.
How are you?
What's going on, man?
Good. Here we go.
All right, so listen, I thank you all for joining us at home. It's almost NBA All-Star Weekend, and we are so excited. We will be there. We want to remind you in just 2 days to meet us in New York City, Celsius Restaurant in Bryant Park. The doors open at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. Arrive early. It is free, but bundle up because it will be cold, but we're definitely worth the wait. We hope to see you there, okay? Plus, Kevin Costner will join the desk. He has a few movies out in theaters that he'll talk about, but he's also here to talk some sports. That will happen in our first hour, so you do not want to turn away. But let's just go to Cleveland, shall we? Kevin Love responded to LeBron James's tweet that essentially said there's no reason to fit out and just fit in. Be a part of something special. You remember that tweet? Well, here's what Love had to say.
I really feel like he said if he had a problem with me or anybody on the team or coaches or training staff or someone, he would go right to them. So, yeah, initially I was confused, but, you know, I don't feel bad. I'm just going out there trying to help this team. So you guys can write what you want to write, but there's no problem with us, and I'm just going to keep saying that I'm just trying to help this team, and that's all that matters, and I don't really need any validation.
He doesn't really need any validation, Stephen A. He said he was caught off guard. What do you make of Kevin Love's response to LBJ's tweet?
I'll say the same thing that I said on SportsCenter last night. It's much ado about nothing, but it is all LeBron James and Kevin Love's fault. They have made something out of absolutely, positively nothing. The worst case scenario is that by LeBron saying fit out, if indeed he was saying it about Kevin Love, which he admitted to a small group of reporters, then denied later on, or whatever the case may be, believe what you want. Even if he was saying fit out, what does that mean? What that means is be yourself. That's all he was saying. So, excuse me, saying to be yourself, to relax, to just do what you need to do to be the best that you can be, that's something to be insulted about? That's something that has to become news to the point where LeBron James feels the need to point the finger at the media and to deny everything, to Kevin Love to piggyback off of that and saying initially I was taken aback, or whatever word that he used, and then
caught off guard.
But then, you know, LeBron told me that if he had something to say, he would say it to my face, etc., etc. Really? Is all of that necessary? We're talking basketball. I mean, if somebody, no matter, even though Kevin Love is averaging 17 and 10, and even though he just came off a 32-point performance, and even though we know that he's averaged 26 points per game 2 seasons in Minnesota, sandwiched between an 18-game season because he only played 18 games when he was out a couple of years back, we know what Kevin Love can do. So it's not like he's a scrub. It's not like he can't play. It's not like it's a big deal. The fact is that you're about to pursue a championship. LeBron James is a 2-time NBA champion. He's a 4-time league MVP. To me, he has the right to say to anybody, be yourself. This is what we need from you. Just do it. Now, if you're sitting there and you're crucifying a guy, certainly you don't want to do something like that in the media. But I didn't interpret anything as LeBron crucifying him. I'm sitting there saying, LeBron saying, no matter what we see you doing, we know you can do more because we've seen you do more. So you might need to relax and just be yourself. And that's all it was to me. I don't get why this was such a big deal. It was a big deal ultimately because LeBron made it a bigger deal than what it needed to be. Because, first of all, he shouldn't have denied he was talking about Kevin Love when everybody and their grandmother knows he was talking about Kevin Love. And secondly, all you had to do was come out and say, I know what the guy can do. I believe in him. And all I'm saying is be yourself. That's it. But in this world of PC with PR folks, spin doctors, handlers, business managers, your boys, and the list goes on and on.
And
we feel the need. We feel the need to just do extra for spin control. It's nauseating. It really is.
I watched what you said last night on 6 o'clock Sports Center, and I'm very happy that you didn't sleep on it and decide to change your tune. I'm impressed. You stuck right with what you said.
I usually do.
Well, I realize that, but I thought maybe you would have slightly come to your senses because this is much ado about a whole lot of something to me. Because as you well know, Kevin Love could walk after this year, even though Brian Windhorst suggests that maybe Cleveland made some sort of handshake deal with him because they did give up Wiggins. You know, go ahead. Yeah.
Brian Windhorst who I respect, can suggest all he wants. I'm telling you, Kevin Love, if he think about staying, it's because Cleveland has promised him a boatload of money.
All right.
In the tune of close to $100 million.
Has he promised then that he definitely will stay? I don't know that part of it.
It is understood.
Okay.
Understood.
There's nothing in writing.
Parties.
I don't think there's
there
anything
can't
in
be
writing.
anything in
That's what I mean. It's tampering. Yeah.
It is understood by both parties that that's what's going on.
Okay, back to the original Saturday night tweet. Remember, you're kind of looking at it upside down because this is complex. But remember, in training camp, on the flight to Brazil for the exhibition game, they were trying to tell Kevin Love to fit out. Don't worry about fitting in. Fit out and be yourself. But then Saturday night, LeBron flipped it around and said, quit worrying about fitting out, about being yourself, translation, and just fit in. However it is required for you to fit in, just fit in, Kevin Love. Well, as I said on Monday morning, if I'm Kevin Love, I am confused. And Kevin used that word yesterday. He said, I initially was confused. Now, he took the high road yesterday, and he said, it's no big deal. I'm still good with LeBron, even though he made it clear LeBron still has not talked to his face about this, which still is perplexing to me. This is bizarre, just bizarre behavior on the part of a LeBron James who has played 12 years in this league and is now 30 years of age. I just don't get it, Stephen A. I don't know. Is it possible this was planned? This was choreographed? This was scripted? This was a subliminal message that he sent via Twitter to jumpstart Kevin Love? Was this a grand plan because he knew we all would react to it? But then why would he deny, as you talk about, then claim that you go ahead and claim the tweet and tell a smaller group of reporters later in that locker room session after the Sunday game, yeah, it was no coincidence that I tweeted that. And then, as we know, during our show on Monday, later in the show, LeBron backed off on Twitter and said, no, I didn't say that. I would never not say it to a teammate's face. I'm confused, and I don't get it. And if I'm Kevin Love, it might be a reason to start to wonder, do I really belong here? Is this the way business is going to be done? Is this the way I'm going to be treated going forward? There is the Bosch syndrome going on here. He's clearly the third wheel. I loved it that LeBron went out of his way to try to include Kevin in the offense on Sunday. He hit 7 out of 8 threes, thanks in large part to a number of very crisp cross-court skip passes from LeBron James. I love that part of it, but if I'm Kevin Love, I'm still thinking, what the heck just happened? Is it possible that LeBron just had a weak moment on Saturday night and defied the golden rule of one Coach Herman Edwards, don't hit send? Was he just frustrated, over-emotional, late night? Boom, he hit send. It's possible he just hit send and he was embarrassed about it. It's possible. And he sort of moonwalked back from it a little bit. Like, I don't want to get involved in it.
My point is that LeBron had nothing to moonwalk back from. Whether you're telling a person to fit out or fit in is irrelevant. The fact of the matter is that everybody needs to play better. The Cleveland Cavaliers will not win the championship if Kevin Love doesn't elevate his game. I'm not talking about what he did just the other day against the Lakers. I'm talking about what he needs to be doing all season long. He needs to be himself. I don't think LeBron James saying something like that to him is a big deal, which is why I'm kind of disgusted with LeBron James, because to me, you made it a big deal.
He did.
But you are the four-time champ, the four-time league MVP, the two-time champion. If you want to sit there and tell somebody to stop being concerned with this, be concerned, you have the right to do that.
Sure he does.
He's earned the right. So
he should do it.
And these guys with their tissue paper personalities, I'm talking about, and Kevin Love, so what if you were confused? So what? So what? All right, what if you were not confused? What if LeBron James flat out, instead of stop trying to find a way to fit out and just fit in, be a part of something special? Just my thoughts.
Yeah.
That was his tweet at 11:37 on Saturday night. What if LeBron James out there, and instead of sitting there and engaging in whatever kind of verbiage he engaged into, whatever way you want to describe, what if he just flat out sat there and said, we can't win the title without Kevin Love. Kevin Love, I need you to be yourself.
Hey, why would you tweet that? Why wouldn't you tell him to his face?
I'm saying to you, I don't know if he hasn't told him to his face. That's my point, number one. Number two, it could be, what if he hadn't tweeted it? What if a reporter just came up and asked him about Kevin Love?
Fine.
And then LeBron James just sat there and said, you know what? We need this brother to win the title.
Right.
He's doing well, but I know he can do even more. Excuse me, that would have made the same kind of headlines. And I'm like, what's the problem? You know, whether I don't care what analyst you pick, they are absolutely right. When the sensitivity of the modern day professional athlete makes me want to vomit. It is ridiculous how sensitive these guys have become. LeBron did not say anything wrong or anything excessively critical or whatever about Kevin Love. Now, if you said Kevin Love can't play, we made a mistake getting him, that's different.
Sure.
Of course that's different. To sit there and say, if I'm a star, but I'm playing like a good player, but you know I have star potential, you might sit there and say, Stephen A., I need you to be a star. That's something for me to be insulted about?
All right, but if the team leader tweets it, why wouldn't the team leader pull you aside first and tell you to your face?
We cannot sit here and constantly talk about how times have changed, the age of social media. LeBron James has $18.7 million followers. Well, guess what? Having that many followers obviously facilitates good business opportunities for a lot of guys. Ask any hip-hop artist, ask any comedian, ask the numerous the players, ask folks here at ESPN. I mean, the list goes on and on. What show do you turn on where Twitter ain't used? So the point is, we live in a different time. If this were back in the day, you'd have a point. But in today's day and age, half the communication that takes place, unfortunately, is through Twitter with a lot of these guys.
Wait, isn't there a rule at ESPN we're not supposed to tweet about each other?
Well,
right?
They do.
I don't know. I don't do it. I don't do it. But some folks do, but I don't do it. But my point,
I'm just saying, so that's the team dynamic.
But my point is, well, last time I checked, I don't think the Cleveland Cavaliers have that rule. And the point that I'm trying to,
it's an unwritten rule.
I'm just saying, it's not a big deal. It's because of the tweet. It's a big deal because we got these guys with personalities as fragile as tissue paper that get their feelings hurt at the slightest little thing. It's pathetic. But it's the truth,
I still think it's a big deal. He tweeted it first. That's a big deal to me. And again, if you want to tell me that it was scripted, that there was method to the madness, that he thought that would be the best way to light the fire of Kevin Love is via Twitter, that's fine with me. But you have to own it the next day. And he owned it for a moment, and then he didn't own it.
But that's what I was trying to say to you when I said it wasn't a big deal at all until he made it a big deal by trying to deny that he did something so menial, so trivial. It's like, yo, so what? So what? You want him to fit in. We got something special going on here right now. Fit in, ride this train. That's all LeBron was saying. LeBron made it a big deal because he tried to backtrack from it. That's why it became a big deal, because it shouldn't have been a big deal after all. And I suspect that the reason why he backtracked is because apparently Kevin Love got his feelings hurt a little bit. And I'm sitting there saying,
do you think he did? I don't know about that.
I don't think he should have. Well, I'm just saying, why feel the need to do so? Kevin Love's a good guy, by the way. And Kevin Love seems to me to be a very fair-minded, highly sensible individual. I'm not trying to knock him. I'm just simply saying, none of this is a big deal.
But don't you think he just gave honest answers yesterday to questions? He didn't go to the media with his thoughts about it.
I get what you're saying. My point is, it's not really a big deal based on what LeBron said. It's a big deal because they tried to manipulate people's reaction to it all when what they were saying really was of no consequence. We all know.
Oh, I think it was a huge consequence now.
Cleveland, Kevin Love has to play better for Cleveland to win the chip.
Okay.
It's that simple. We know he can play better, but he has to play better because being good, 17-10 is nothing to sneeze. That's not embarrassing, but it ain't Kevin Love. You know why? Because Kevin Love can do better, and oh, by the way, Kevin Love wants to get paid better. So the king, the man who is recognized as the best player in the game, is saying, that's what we need.
Okay, remember, don't look at the big picture numbers for the season. He had been on about a 7-game stretch where he had been pretty pathetic, Kevin Love.
Okay.
So that's what LeBron was frustrated about.
Okay.
And I don't blame him. But it's how you handle your business. How do you restart him? How do you jumpstart him? How do you remotivate
him? If LeBron James doesn't have the right or the license to simply say what he feels, Cleveland is in a world of trouble because they need that brother to speak.
Okay. But you're okay if he speaks via Twitter first and not to the teammates' face?
I know. It depends on what you say. In this particular instance, he didn't say much. It's not a big deal.
Didn't
He made it a
ride
big deal.
the train, so says Stephen A. Peyton Manning moving